Good Monday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, not the EV age, the Ice Age, which means the internal combustion engine age TV, where my dog is already running off this morning. Things are already out of control. There's an old Ice Age TV sticker, some like. Then I have the new Ice Age TV. It's all about the conversations of the cars and trucks, motorcycles, my dogs, my kid, my attitude, my addictions. Yeah. Hey, welcome there. Good morning. This holiday Monday morning. What's it, Indigenous Day or something like that? I can't even pronounce it right. Is it just Indian Day? Is it Native Day? I mean, what is it, right? I mean, it's just a holiday. Recognize the people that were here before I was, right? So, hope everybody's enjoying their day off. That gets that day off. If you're a federal employee, you probably do. So, getting cool up here. Got my Indian gear on. It's getting cold. Season's here. My dogs are out of control, as usual, because my neighbor's walking his dog. Beautiful morning, though, but the season of change is here. I mean, wow. Hey, good girl there. You're not caught up in that things. And wow, what a weekend. What a end of a week last week. Just the projects of the projects and the adventures of the adventures. There's the real new sticker there. If you want one of those, I will mail you one. And just reach out to IceHTV comments at gmail.com, and I'll send you a sticker if you want to share the Ice Age love and enthusiasm we all need over the EV age. So what is going on here besides the never-ending motorcycle adventures? Is that what it's been about lately? Pretty incredible. Even for me, the motorcycle adventures. Who would imagine a week ago I'd have a Triumph Rocket 3 sitting in my garage? Not me. I'll be the first to raise my hand and say, I'm going to own a Triumph Rocket 3? I mean, wow. I mean, totally not planned. Nothing. Even though it's, in some ways, 4 years later, when I first saw this bike being released, and January 2020, me riding this motorcycle, that I actually now own it. And not really on the radar screen. Let me get the dogs and the boss, get the dogs in the office, and get the lights on, and we can talk about the motorcycles. And for those that don't watch my video all the time, kind of give you an update of what's going on in the Indian world of my pursuit that kind of created the triumphing. And that's just who I am. It's just one thing leads to something else. Any of you know these stories? Incident turns into a different incident. And today, my thoughts were trying to figure out a theme, a conversation. My thought was the test ride. I thought to myself, I totally blew it on my Indian Pursuit motorcycle, not taking that on a test ride. But even at that, what have I picked up on the challenges that Indian Pursuit now has in my life, in Indian's life, and Motorcycles with Dallas life? So, talk about the Triumph Rocket for a second. So here's the Rocket, and such a badass vehicle. It is not by any means really the style bike that I per se ride. But the problem is, it's this 2500cc inline 3 piston that just makes this thing incredible. It is the most incredible feel between your legs. And even the point, I used to have a Tiger 1200, which I really did like that motorcycle. And I don't know if I have... Oh, there you see there? 3 piston. So, in 2020, I sold my Triumph Tiger 1200. You can see all my collection of, this is even all my plates. But so I had a 3 piston. So you have that personalized tag, which I think I'll probably put that on this, because it's a 3 piston. How many motorcycles do you know that have 3 pistons? And that's why this Triumph and the Tiger family really intrigued me, that I just thought it was so cool in inline 3. We know about the inline 6s, but that would be very difficult to have a motorcycle rider capability being inline 6. Could be a V6, yeah, very small pistons, but so it's an inline 3, and it's a 3 piston. And so for me, I test rode this motorcycle in January of 2020, pre-pandemic. And this is the R series, the more aggressive sport setup. Foot controls right underneath of you instead of being the foot controls in front of you in the GT. So the Rocket 3 GT is more of the cruiser style bike, like these type of bikes, where the foot controls are more forward up here, and you have more of a style of a handlebar like these other motorcycles, not kind of the straight handlebar. And then you have a little front windshield, and you have a little rear sissy pad for the capability of you to be able to have a passenger back there. So it's more of the cruiser bike, which is really cool. They do have rear saddlebags for this motorcycle that don't actually look that bad. And even if you could like maybe paint them the same color as a bike, and here's what's really cool. Look at this here. This is the rear passenger seat foot pegs. Isn't that so cool? Man, it's just so neat. So the bike, when you start the bike up, it just moves. I mean, it moves you when you give this thing the throttle. You just move. I mean, it's just such a appropriate named bike, being called the Rocket. Yesterday, I spent some time on figuring out the controls here, and not too bad. I actually figured out how to go through the menu. We've got a menu button over here that then rotates you through the different screens. You got a little toggle switch here that helps you see what you want to see. So I set up the whole information thing, and I kind of now understand better of what's going on. You can actually even get, I believe, navigation on this. Maybe not on this one, but I believe I didn't get that far in depth on that. Maybe it's a GT. Maybe it's a software update. This is supposed to have heated grips. It does. Okay. So this little heated grip button here, apparently it comes with the bike, but you actually have to buy the module or something to actually activate it. So that's really nice. And I would imagine there's probably even a heated seat for us out there, an upgraded heated seat. Just haven't done the, there's a lot of accessories for this. Really cool bike. Has a metal strap, like a metal band to actually hold this bike. And the exhaust on this thing, I mean, this thing just rumbles. Now, you got to push the clutch in to actually start this. So I'll do that right now. I love the 2 lights up front. I love the big ass fat tire. Just has muscle. It just has muscle written all over it. Just listen to that exhaust. And when you give this thing some energy, you can't really see it, but the whole bike just kind of like moves. When you're on it, you ride this bike, it's just like you give this thing, you just feel that motor between your legs. It just makes it so neat. I wonder how the horns sound. Some of these horns might sound lame. Yeah, I hate that. It's such a sissy horn. The rear view mirrors, kind of the retro style. So, for Triumph, I really do like the Triumph product. And here's the thing. I said my conversation this morning would be the test. Well, it's so interesting is how I test rode this motorcycle. Look, there's even exhaust over here. Even for me, I haven't really been fixated on, but you see the exhaust over here, but then they loop another one up under here, which I really haven't even paid that much attention to. So I test rode this, and I just walked away in January just not connecting with the bike. The biggest thing is so much wind force. The other thing is your body position on this motorcycle is you're forward a little bit, and what happens many times is your triceps and your lower back start to feel that more forward body position. And total wind in your face. It's a total naked ride is what I call it. So it's not really per se the preferred ride, but the bike is just such a badass bike. It's such the muscle bike, and it's just such a great, just the most incredible feeling that I've ridden on a motorcycle of the power factor. It's incredible power. So that's why I'm buying a motorcycle. And I just think to myself, how many more years does Triumph out of England continue to push this motorcycle and not cave to the green agenda? I don't know. Does this have another 5-year run, 2-year run? And you can get this in different color options, but this color, for some reason, just finally made me want to buy this bike. So the test ride in this was the second time round for me, close to 4 years later, over 3 years later. It was just more of me feeling like this bike is for me. I really want this bike. Even though, if you're watching my channel, I had a K1600B bagger BMW motorcycle sitting here on Saturday morning. If you watch my channel, you'll see on Friday, I rode home from not riding home the Indian Pursuit and riding home a BMW K1600B bagger. And what's incredible, it's really incredible how that bike, when I wanted that bike as well, like 3 years ago, whenever it first came out, and it's incredible how I walked away from that bike. And I was so wanting the BMW, because I had the BMW adventure bikes, the R1200 series and R1250. So I've had all the BMW adventure bikes off and on since about 2013. And I just really wanted more of the performance bagger style bike. And I saw renderings of the BMW K1600B bagger, and it was the baddest ass looking bike. It would be like a Jesse James, or just as a really cool looking style bike, that the drawings. But that bike never populated. They kind of brought it with nice lines, but not as aggressive. I was back to 3 years later. Do I get rid of my Indian Pursuit and do I replace it with the BMW K1600? Same thing here. Do I part with my Indian Pursuit and just go a total different direction and get the Triumph? Well, I test rode the BMW, and fortunately, the owner of the company, Motorcycles of Dulles, John, was very nice to me and let me ride home that K1600 bagger. And what I noticed on that bike is what I noticed from day one. The bike has a longer wheelbase, and the bike has a dance. The bike truly dances. I'm drinking my coffees as I'm talking to you. So for me, this is, in many ways, the Honda Goldwing competitor to the K1600 bagger. You could say, no, this should be more the competitor to the K1600 GT. Well, yeah, I would agree with that. But the K1600 bagger has more of a lower stance rear tour pack or rear bags and a lower stance overall. So the K1600 bagger really is more of this style. K1600 is in some ways, but it's a higher bike. The bags are up higher, the seat is up higher, a little more aggressive. So riding a K1600 bagger home Friday afternoon and then riding it back on Saturday morning, dances on the back. And don't get me wrong, anybody here has that bike? It's a beautiful bike. I mean, I really do like the motorcycle. It's engineered. I think it's a great bike. But for me, I can feel how the back end does a little dance because of that stretched suspension, I feel. And it just doesn't have that real cutting performance confidence that I feel on my... I really think the Honda Goldwing just really is such the much better package, nicer riding. Price range, they're kind of within the same reason, but I just think that the Honda is a more confident feeling motorcycle and even more fun. So that's why I really came to closure. You know what? I'm not going to buy the K1600 bagger. And then at the last minute, and here's the other thing. This was so interesting. For BMW financing, and believe it or not, I've bought three BMW motorcycles from a number of years through the internet application, and I've been approved numerous times. This time around, they declined me. So that was a whole other variable. even if I wanted that BMW, it wasn't going to happen. My daughter was on the Scrambler 619 or 719. In the end, she just didn't like the way she looked on it. She didn't think that boxer motor was really powerful enough. So the whole BMW kind of thing changed pretty quickly Saturday morning, where I came to closure. It's like, nah, I think I'm just not going to try to fight to get financing. The bike just isn't making me feel excited. So, didn't get done. It just wasn't meant to be. So now we go to the Triumph side, and just for the heck of it, Saturday morning, my Indian Pursuit is down there at the dealership. That now we are testing the bike to see what is wrong with the motorcycle, because it's a serious front end steering wobble. So, as I said, the test this morning, my thoughts were, wow, had I only test driven that Indian Pursuit. But here's the irony. I test drove the Indian Pursuit that I ordered, that I never was able to pull a deal off, September, Labor Day weekend of 2022. I ordered the premium package, exact same bike, red, black, ruby red, whatever you call it, same exact bike, and I couldn't get the deal done. But that was a year ago, and I rode the motorcycle up and down the road. Didn't do a lot of time on it, but I had mixed feelings on it, but the deal didn't get done, so it turned into Ventures, which turned into the Street Bob, and the Street Glide red bike that was traded for the Fast Johnny, and then the Fast Johnny was traded for that, and blah, blah, blah. But the whole point is, on this brand new Indian Pursuit that I just bought, I didn't ride that motorcycle home. And some people like, I didn't ride it. I didn't test ride it. Some people are like, why didn't you? Because I took two of my Indian motorcycles to Motorcycles of Dollars just to sell them, just to cash out of them, and put myself in a position to buy a slingshot. That was really my goal here 2 months ago. And so I drove down my truck and trailer with my Indian Chieftain, really nice motorcycle, Elite, that I just really loved, and that Indian Super Chief. So I trailered those down. Trailer out here, as you see, it's only clothes, just the projects. And the shop turns into a disaster. So I drove down in my truck and trailer with my motorcycle trailer, and I had the two Indians, and I really was on the page just to sell the Indians and move on. Even to the point, I was borderline thinking, do I just sell the Indians and just really get away from Indian? I really had that kind of that thought, but at the same time, it's Murphy's Law. The Indian Pursuit is a motorcycle that has basically just come in and needs to be put together. And so I just have the confidence. Here's the challenge. I have an Indian Challenger right here. This is the Indian Pursuit. This is the exact same motorcycle. Only difference is it doesn't have a tour pack. I owned the 2020 Indian Challenger that I kept for over 2 years, that I traded in for this motorcycle here in so many aspects. Great bike. No problems. No issues. I've ridden 500 miles on this motorcycle and nothing. Beautiful bike. Great bike. So why would I need to test drive the Pursuit? Why would I need to test drive this Indian Pursuit when I've already had the Challenger Series style bikes? And that's where I made a mistake. And some people are like, why did you make a mistake? Well, had I test drove that Indian Pursuit and I would have caught that imperfection of that bike, I wouldn't have bought it. So, but now I'm in the quandary of having to go through the steps now to possibly have Indian buy it back. Or does Indian, let's get up here and keep the morning conversations going on the cool Monday morning. And only one is present, the other one's in the house begging for food. The test ride never happened on that motorcycle. And that now is my mistake. Because had I test driven it, I wouldn't have bought it. And now, some say, well, the dealer should have to buy that bike back from you. Well, I don't know. You got to think this through. Bought the bike back in August. It's now October. It's now, I'm finally bringing the bike back with issues. I mean, if I'm the owner, I'd be like, how do I not know that you ran that thing into a curb? How do I not know you did something to that motorcycle that created this problem? And then you can argue, there's so many other people out there that are having the same problem, but it turns into the argument. And so for me being a business owner, I'd be like, yeah, you should have been back here the same day. You should have brought this bike right back to me before we funded the deal, got everything done. You should have, so for me, I try to be a little bit more, hopefully, reasonable. So, and the owner's very adamant about, look, you have a YouTube channel, you have Indians, you have exposure. I think Indians probably going to listen to you. I think you have tons of video. So I said, I think Indians going to address this in a rather, reasonable manner, and will do the right thing. So, because I'm borderline, let me just trade the bike back in. But at the same time, it's a no-brainer. I'm going to take a $10,000 loss for what I paid. The business owner, he's not going to pay for that bike. People don't understand. These motorcycle dealerships, I used to be in that industry. Whether you guys or not, I was in that industry 14 plus years ago. And these dealers can't live off $300, $500 margins of motorcycles. These guys have 30+% margins. That's why when you buy a motorcycle for 30 grand and you go back and you want to give that bike back, they're going to tell you it's worth $20,000 to $22,000. Why? Because they're only paying maybe on a brand new one $23,000 to $25,000, maybe. So they have to position themselves where it's now a used bike. It doesn't matter if it has 100 miles on it or 10,000 miles on it. Their position is, and so that's why when you go buy a motorcycle, in fact, the former owner that was a partner with the current owner that now has retired, I looked at him one day when I bought a motorcycle and I said, so realistically, what's this bike worth now? He said 50%. He's like, it's a motorcycle. This is not a investment. This is not something you have to own. He's like, that's the market. If you paid 30 grand for it, in so many ways, it's worth 15 grand. I'm like, wow. So it isn't that radical to a degree. But anyway, so back to Indian Pursuit, I made a big mistake not test riding that motorcycle. And what's really incredible, too, is kind of going like the Harley-Davidson Road Glide CVO. Well, Chesapeake Harley-Davidson up in Darlington, Maryland, they don't allow test rides on motorcycles. That was one thing that drove me to the Patriot Harley in Fairfax, Virginia, to go ride that trike, was the Darlington Chesapeake Harley-Davidson is going to get in these trikes, but you can't test ride them. Just like my Road Glide CVO that I bought. That was a total in the blind type of purchase. That was a total, you can only hope that motorcycle is bigger and badder ass than the motorcycles I gave up. Because, just once again, can you even imagine had I traded my other two Harleys for that? And then I was walking away like, wow, this was really a huge mistake. At this point, that hasn't been the case. But the point is, in the motorcycle industry, it's pretty incredible how a lot of dealers will not let you test ride the motorcycle till you buy it. So the motorcycle industry, it's very challenging for you as an individual to buy something if you can't find the dealer that will allow you to ride the motorcycle. So, and that's why I went to another Harley dealer, and here it's a no-brainer. Some dealerships are all about giving away bikes. They're all about volume. So you have to manage your expenses. And I can guarantee you that selling dealers that have the rides where you can ride the motorcycle, the insurance must be pretty big for the liability side. There's a lot of variables that go along with that. So I'm not the owner of the dealership to get too deep into it. But anyways, the whole point is, test riding a motorcycle to buy one, if you can't test ride one, I think then, wow. I think, why would you buy the motorcycle? But yet that's kind of been a standard for so many years. There's so many things in so many other dealerships. So for me, back to the Indian Pursuit. The Indian Pursuit, if you watch my channel, watch my videos, you will see that I'm in the back shop watching them rebalance the tire. Okay, so I have video of me. Here's the good news. The owner, John, of Motorcycle to Dulles, on Saturday morning, went out of his way to ride that motorcycle like I rode it. And yes, he experienced the same thing I did at low speeds. So he rode it, and then they put it in the back shop. They remounted the tire, rebalanced the wheel, and I was there to witness that. And then, unbeknownst to me, the owner jumped on the bike immediately and he rode up the road again. And he's like, it's the exact same thing. So then I convinced the owner to put a brand new, different manufacturer's tire on that. And sure enough, the guy in the back shop, same procedure, put a new tire, balanced it, threw it on the bike. I got on the bike. You can look at the video. And at first, when I was riding the bike, at first, it wasn't too bad. So it was kind of like maybe they fixed this. But even though I could still feel the bike just doesn't feel like other motorcycles I've ridden. And sure enough, then I got the bike at a certain speed, and there it was. So then it's bringing back to the bike, the dealership. And now it turns into, what do we do? My gut instinct really is just walk from the bike. Just give it up. Maybe the owner gives me a hell of a deal on another bike. But another part of me is like, no, go through the proper steps and procedures and make Indian address this, because hopefully my channel can help others that have this same motorcycle. And here's the thing. There's 2 other motorcycle owners that are having the same problem that still haven't been resolved. But my good friend Pete, that's the service manager there, his claim is that these individuals won't leave the bikes to the dealership for any length of time. For Indian to really be able to get into these bikes, I don't know all the details on that, but he claims that from February, March this year, that these issues have been known, they're still not been resolved. So, wow. So that all turned into, how am I getting home? Now it's late in the day, and sure, I can call the wife or kid, but then I'm kind of like, I'm back to the Triumph Rocket. And the reason I brought up the BMW financing, didn't get approved. If you watch my channel, you've heard me want to buy the Harley-Davidson trike, then the RG3, Road Glide 3 trike. And we've been going to Harley-Davidson Financial to get these deals done. So now, on Saturday, we go ahead and run a whole different deal with Performance Group Finance. And that's the company that, for the most part, carries the Indians, the Triumphs, and they can even do the BMW, but mostly Indian and Triumph brand, Enfield. So they're just a major finance company that will buddy up to help the dealerships move these motorcycles. And that's who I've had now since the fall of 2019. And so sure enough, the financing was approved very quickly. And on the Triumph, this is on the Triumph Rocket, me putting some money down. And so it comes down to, I have 3 loans with Indian, and it came back, you got to give something up to get this motorcycle. But then we pushed for a 4th loan, because this is my position. If Indian Motorcycle does end up resolving his problem or can't resolve his problem, then they need to buy the bike back from me, which that then just in the long run reimburses me what I paid for that Indian Pursuit. Does it go that way? I don't know at this time. But my roll of the dice is, let me just buy the Rocket outright, as far as no trade, and not get things all goofed up. We pushed for that. And at the end of the day, they wouldn't do it. Now it's late in the day, and so now it turns into, well, how do we make this deal go? So it gets a little more deeper on that, but here's the point. They approved me at 8.99% financing. Okay, Harley-Davidson, if you're watching my channel, is approving me at 23% financing. What is going on? I mean, what is going on? Now, I elected to take a 48-month term, okay, but I haven't offered that at Harley. It's like, how about a 3-year, 4-year term? They're like, okay, it'll go from 23%, 23.9 to 22.9. I mean, it's just nothing there. What is going on with Harley-Davidson Financial besides screwing everybody to the max? What a joke. So you're hearing me this morning. I've been approved to buy that motorcycle at 8.99%. When I've been going around looking at other dealerships and trying to buy a Harley, and it's the constant thing that comes back with a stupid rate that is not acceptable. And I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to sign up for it. So that motorcycle there, it's kind of more of a spur of the moment purchase, but the owner is giving me a nice discount on it. It really is a nice bike. And I just think that, and you don't see many of these Rockets out there in the market. So I'm just really thinking that's probably a great purchase. So, but at the same time, another part of me says, do I shed my Indians and go more Triumph? Do I get my daughter the Triumph Bonneville Speedmaster? That Bonneville Speedmaster looks like a really cool bike. That's the 70s retro brought back here like 2 years ago with Triumph. And even I at that time was considering looking at that motorcycle for me to buy it. There's a really cool British guy over there in Wales, I should say, that has one of these motorcycles, does a really great job of going over the review. Cool guy, big guy, and he looks really nice on that bike. So it's a great bike. Motorcycles Adults has it. So, is one part of me is like, do I just say bye-bye to Indian? I mean, do I just go ahead and sell my Challenger? Do I sell the Indian Sport Chief? I mean, in all reality, when I came home, I said, really, the smarter thing to do at this time is just give up one of the Indians. And my daughter was so nice. She goes, Dad, if it requires you to get rid of, because for the most part, I about own the Indian Sport Chief. She goes, if you need to give that up to get the Rocket, I would do that. And I understand. You can do that. So, but that opens the door. Well, if I give that up, do I replace it for her with a Triumph Bonneville? I just think that'd be really cool. So do I become more of the Triumph guy? And do I kind of just let the Indian, whether you realize or not, my first Indian Dark Horse Roadmaster I had, that thing had some problems. That thing had the lose the power challenge. We kind of worked through that. Beautiful bike. It's like anything. You have issues. So I don't know. Mixed feelings. But tomorrow, I go back to the dealership, and I really like my daughter to test ride that Bonneville Speedmaster. And does it turn into me maybe parting with some Indians for the Triumph? Do I kind of go the Triumph way on this Monday recognition of the natives of our country, the Indian Day? Do I say bye-bye to Indian? I don't know. Mixed feelings. What's really crazy is I was really at a page of kind of just really shedding a lot of my Indians here before I bought that Pursuit, only to turn around and buy 2 Indians, gave up 2 Indians, got 2 Indians, and I really was more on the page of getting rid of 2 Indians. But anyway, so the test, and I think to myself now, boy, are we under the test of times more than ever? I mean, wow. I just think to myself, if you're really following the news and you're seeing what's going on around us, especially Israel and the Palestinians, and you just think, boy, we are under incredible, I think more than ever, if anybody just isn't really starting to feel that this sitting administration is testing us to the max, is truly pushing us. I just socially feel that this administration that is in power at this time, and there's people that reach out and say, well, it wasn't like Trump did this or that. And, I get all that. There's always going to be challenges with individuals that are running this country, but I think that on one end, those can maybe manage it better than those others. And I just think, sadly, we right now have the powers that be in our country that are testing the will of us to not what we've been tested in many, many years or modern times in so many ways. I mean, they're pushing us at the highest rate of having to spend money in the last 20 plus years because of inflation. They're testing us more than ever on us just allowing anybody to borderline walk across the border. They're testing us more than ever to accept that stealing is acceptable to a level of amount of money that if someone steals. They're testing us for accepting that the crime is what it is. The police just can't really enforce the crime because they've elected officials and rewritten laws that don't let the police enforce the crimes. So they're testing us on us witnessing their ideology of what is right versus what is wrong. In the public education sector, we're witnessing the test of you hearing that your child goes to school not to learn how to think, but told how to think. I mean, more than ever, we're being tested more than ever to support a Russia war that I think most people don't even understand what is going on in that war. And once again, everything's tied to you as an individual of your money that's going to an administration of our country to address these tests of our will of what is right versus wrong, what to do. And now we're witnessing the Israel, Hamas, Palestinian hatred at an all-time high in modern times. It's not like they haven't had problems before. So to blame it all on Joe Biden, or blame it all on Donald Trump. But here's what's very interesting. I have a personal friend, and I don't even know. And at this stage of my life, I wouldn't so call him my friend as much, because I so remember being at Costco and him looking at me in the pandemic 2020 with wearing the mask and everything else, and this individual basically looking at me and telling me, you called me a Trumper. Oh, you're the Trumper guy. I'm like, what is that supposed to mean? I mean, I don't know what this, and he's like, oh, and I'm like, so you think that Joe Biden is your better choice? He's like, oh yeah. He's like, Trump, he's ruined the Palestinians. His claim was that, he's Palestinian, and believe it or not, he owns a ton of restaurants here in this immediate area. Very successful individual that has a ton of restaurants in my own backyard, pizza restaurants. And so what he said to me is that Donald Trump favored the Israel over the Palestinians, and that he had done something that was actually harming the Palestinians. And so he just despised and hates Donald Trump. So now Joe Biden's in office, and some of you are feeling now that the more love to Iran has created what's going on now in Israel and the Gaza Strip, everything. It's bad. I mean, it's just horrific videos you don't even want to watch. And how is this all going to play out? And now the next thing is there's many people on X that are trying to make these claims that all these young men that are crossing, the Middle Eastern young men that are coming to our country, in their view of the droves, are the future Hamas terrorists that are coming here to visit us to create conflict and chaos in our own backyard. I mean, once again, and even on X, there's definitely moderators there that are saying you got to be careful of what you are saying to other individuals. But this is now being kind of talked about more so than ever because of if you're witnessing what's going on over in Israel, and it isn't anything really new. I mean, so this isn't like for anybody to be thinking, oh, it's like, no, this has been an ongoing challenge for years. So here is the kid. This will be the test of me talking over the Kiefer dog. There's Kiefer. And the kid is ready to go to work on this Monday morning. So you know what I think I have to do? I think we're going to have to call the video come to an end. And I think the kid may be taking a test ride. What do you think of that idea? Does she take the test ride? All right, here she is. Here is the bundle of joy. Kiefer boy, who just always wants to play and have fun. So, hey there, boy. So, all right, wrap it up. And once again, stay tuned for the next adventure of what plays out with the Triumphs. So anyways, hey, thanks for watching my channel. Appreciate all the support. Really great subscribers out there giving me advice and ideas and views. And as always, God bless. Stay safe. We got to go to work, and I hope everybody has a great Indian Day. And go set up a teepee and do some smoke signals. All right, have a great day.